Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Off the Post, episode number 22. And we are here for the recap of the Premier League action, which has been a very, very interesting week of football, as always, which is good to see. Good to see. And joining me, as always, live tonight, we've got we've got Anthony. Good evening, Anthony. Welcome.
You caught me at a bad time. I was finishing brushing my teeth.
That's all right. Bedtime, is it?
After that race, yes.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that another day. Right, let's keep your blood pressure. Keep your blood pressure. Right, well, let's go straight into football. Annie, without talking too much about Newcastle, because we'll bring Newcastle into the conversation. How do you think the Premier League went this week?
Pretty interesting, to say the least. Definitely Villa losing to Wolves was not on my bingo card. That's for sure. It was an interesting one, and it's definitely Arsenal have pushed that gap away from City again, but I can't talk about the elephant in the room. It's a shit weekend for myself.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Sunderland getting a point. Now they're ahead of us.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into it. Yeah, I've asked him if he wants to join, so hopefully he does come and join, Cass. But over to you, Cass. How do you feel that the week went?
The week was all right, but for some reason, I feel really, really shit right now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You do. We'll talk after.
All right. Yeah.
Put it behind you. This is football. We just had a race. Put it behind you. We'll talk about that later on.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll be a long conversation.
So football-wise, interesting week. I think, in my opinion, the most interesting result was Burnley and Brentford. That was a banger game. Wow. I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, I think I'll be honest. I think that's such a cruel ending for Burnley. It's so cruel. 2 disallowed goals from handballs. You got to feel for them because I think they're the better team. I think the first half, Brentford executed their style and they played well, but Burnley just had more. They won more duels. They were a lot more physical in the second half. They really had a go at Brentford. And they almost took some points away, near even beating them, to be honest. If those 2 goals don't get disallowed, it's 5-3. Burnley walk away with 3 points. So, unfortunate for them.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was. I think it was. I actually watched a lot of football this weekend. I was quite excited for this weekend. Obviously, we played right at the end of the week, so obviously a lot of things riding on that. But yeah, definitely that game. Ashley Barnes, man, it's just it's a cruel way. It is a real cruel way because like how they pulled that game back as well was just phenomenal. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But there's probably a lot to talk about and some interesting games to talk about. But let's go for the first one. And I'm going to go straight to you, Cass. Mm-hmm. How about this for a result? Wolves beating Villa. Wow,
crazy.
Connor, if you're listening. 11 points, mate. I don't think so.
Crazy. That is the result of the weekend. The Villa just looked lack of ideas. I never thought I'd say that about an Unai Emery team. They just looked like they were. From memory, I'm pretty sure they would have had more possession, right? And just from the eye test, they definitely would have played the ball around a little bit more. Just from the highlights that I saw from Goal Rush, and it seemed like they had a lot of possession. There was a few shots that I saw as well, but Wolves took their chances. They played on the counter. They executed their style, phenomenal, and it's a massive result for them. And I think Wolves even getting a result this weekend is another reason why some teams in the bottom 6 of the table need to sort their shit out. They have to. It's not a discussion anymore. Every team is going to have a run at you week in, week out, all the way up into the final game. Like, you need to sort it out. And you know who I'm talking to in terms of the club. You know who's getting the lecture. Yeah, you know who's got on the big screen. We're not talking VAR. We're talking tactics board. Yeah, we're talking sorted out. Yeah, we're talking about reviews. Yeah, Tottenham Hotspur. Like, I don't know what's going on there. Igor Tudor. Did anyone see his press conference at the end of the game? So damning for the club. It is insane. So, yeah, I think teams in the bottom 6, anyone can go down. Anyone, even my club.
No. What about you, Anthony? What's your thoughts to that game between Wolves and Villa? Villa obviously in the top 3, having Man United on their backsides quite a lot. They've obviously been in very, very good form. A game, really, we go back a couple of weeks back when Arsenal played them, and other teams have played them, and they've obviously got the job done. Arsenal didn't get the job done. They were scrutinised quite a lot in social media. Villa, the next team to be scrutinised now, 2-0.
This has pretty much put any extinguish of Villa winning the league. That's extinguished now. That's see you later. They're 10 points back with 10 games to go. And if we have one of the Arsenal bottles, I don't think we're going to be seeing Villa lifting any goddamn trophy.
How many fucking times are we going to hear this? Like,
the end of the season,
I know. Yeah,
Every
9
week.
games. 9 games.
9 games. Count them up, son.
9 more shows.
Mhm,
Carry on,
mhm.
Anthony.
But nah, I think Villa's just running out of steam. I think they're just slowly, and Unai Emery needs to think about qualifying for the Champions League through the Europa League, because I feel like if they keep going like this, they won't be making top 4 or even top 5. If they keep tuning the way they're going, and losing to Wolves is damning, Liverpool and Chelsea are knocking on your door.
Well,
I mean, Postecoglou set the blueprint, right? Last season, sure, he lost his job, inevitably, right? But we can all agree Villa is a more well-oiled machine than Spurs, even last year, right? Just from their recruitment, the way they operate. Unai Emery is a very passionate manager still. But I agree, Anthony, 100%. He needs to pivot and just say, look, we have a great league position. Like they do. From the context of the beginning of the season, how they started, they are in a fantastic league position. So I do agree. I think Europa League is the way to go. Even so, I think it's not too big of an issue. I know, obviously, Villa fans will say they really want Champions League football. The squad's good enough, all that conversation. But I think it's not the end-all, be-all for this team if they don't get Champions League football. But I do think they will through the Europa League. I just think they are far and away the best team in that competition, and they should be able to take it away.
Yeah, definitely. Got a tough game coming up for Villa at home, obviously at Villa Park, but playing away, playing Chelsea. We'll talk a little bit about Chelsea's game, and then Wolves got a home game against Liverpool. And Liverpool obviously did a very, very good job against Nottingham Forest, which we'll talk about later on. So we'll talk about a little bit about those games later on. Let's go straight to the second game, Bournemouth and Sunderland. 1-1, not too probably much to say. Fair result for probably both teams, do you think? Or
Yeah. Fair result. Sunderland maybe deserve a little bit more from the game, but really just a 1-1 draw. Both teams are plotting mid-table, but that's besides the point.
Yep.
Really,
There's 2 draws for Bournemouth. There's 2 draws for Bournemouth in a row. Obviously, 0-0 against West Ham, and then obviously 1-1 against Sunderland as well. And you could probably say that they may have been a bit unlucky, especially at home. Like, Kaz, how you feel that Bournemouth should have probably got the job done at home against Sunderland?
Look, I think it's easy to say yes, very easy. I do think Sunderland have shown to be a phenomenal team to come up against. Very physically dominant, lots of very intelligent players on the ball. Obviously, Granit Xhaka. I think Lafay, as someone who has really grown into the Premier League and become a really good player. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a big move to a top 6 club next season. I do think he has that capacity and ability. Yeah. And they've got a lot of strong personalities and players in the side. I do think I'm very concerned for Bournemouth, and more specifically Iraola. I was singing this guy's praises at the beginning of the season. I think he's a phenomenal manager. And it seems like this team has just kind of dropped off a cliff. Like, they were really, really like when you line up against Bournemouth, maybe beginning of the season, you're a bit nervous. not to double the meme, get a bit nervous, but they were a very strong side to play against. I think Trufair was someone who was very, very effective. Obviously, when they had Antoine Semenyo, and it just seems like that team has kind of petered off. I think maybe Semenyo's maybe had a bit of an impact in that, but I think Bournemouth have always been really good to adapt when they've made changes. Obviously, this year they had a completely new backline. Sold their 3 of the 4 of their backlines to top European clubs. So they seem to have a really good system and know what they're doing. But yeah, I'm a little bit concerned for Bournemouth, especially going into the later stages of the season and maybe even into next. So
yeah, well, go on. Sorry, Anthony. Go on.
I was about to say, Sunderland have shown the blueprint of how a promoted side can stay up. So they showed the blueprint of how a promoted side can stay up with good players, not expensive players, but good players with a good manager. So for those sides that are coming up from the Championship, it could be a Coventry, could be a Wrexham, could be an Ipswich. Take notes from Sunderland, because as much as I hate to say it, they recruited fucking brilliantly.
I think also you've got to take it into account as well. If you're looking at form, Bournemouth have they've not lost in 5. Obviously 2 wins and 3 draws. Sunderland have, unfortunately they've lost 3 on the bounce. This is the first time they haven't lost a game out of their 5. So they're in a nice little battle there between Newcastle, Palace, and also Leeds getting in there as well. They are at that 37-point mark as well. But if you look at their form, it's not really been, on point. And if you're going into the next games as well, got Leeds. That's going to be a real big game, especially for Leeds United and Sunderland as well. And then you've got, obviously, Bournemouth. They're at home at Brentford. And, Brentford... they lost against Brighton, obviously, last week, but then obviously we'll talk about the Burnley game. They struggled against Burnley. Should have put them away in the first half, and they didn't. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Probably these 2 teams are playing each other coming up. It's probably the best time to see who's going to come out on top. So, very interesting to see. We'll move on. This was a massive game. Back to you, Anthony, on this one. Liverpool and West Ham. I thought this would be a close game. I thought West Ham had been on good form lately, but Liverpool really did dominate the game. 5-2 in the end, and a fantastic result for Liverpool and big confidence for them. They've gone up to 5th now, 48, 49, 50, 3 points behind Villa. So they're looking at a top 4 position after really, let's look at it, an abysmal season. It has been a shocking season. Are they going to have a good end? With 9 games to go, are they going to have a good end to the season? But, that they still conceded 2 goals against Forest, still. And I think, as we keep calling Arsenal set piece FC, I think Liverpool took a little bit of an idea from that handbook. What's your thoughts on Liverpool's game against Forest, Anthony?
West Ham could not defend. Some of the defending I saw from West Ham was Sunday League defending. I'm sorry, but some of the goals I only saw the brief highlights, but some of that defending for the goals, it makes me shake my head as an actual defender in soccer. But the good win for Liverpool keeps them in that top 4 race. But for West Ham, sort your shit out, because you're 18th. You got
SJ, where'd you go, mate?
Okay, Cal, so I'm hosting the show now.
Keep going, Anthony. Keep going, Anthony. Yeah, I'm listening.
I don't know what happened there. But, nah. West Ham's defending was fucking shambolic. I'm sorry. But you got Spurs, who are shit. But they didn't even concede that many to Liverpool. I'm sorry. But, nah. They need to sort their shit out, otherwise they are going down.
No, I think I agree.
Kels?
I think.
What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think West Ham didn't show enough. I think looking at, I think I have one name and one name the same. That's Hugo Ekitike. He was a bit of a handful for them to sort out. I think he's close to probably the second best striker in the league at the moment. I think he's phenomenal. I just think he's outrageous striker, and really shows that they did not need to pay that money for Alexander Isak. I think Newcastle got away with a steal. At this point of the season, if we're being honest, I think Ekitike is just a phenomenal all-round striker. So there's no one else that I'd rather have besides Erling Haaland, right? And even so, I think, sorry to cut you off, but I just think Ekitike has a lot of other qualities that can be very, very useful in attack that Erling Haaland doesn't have. I think he's very quick with the ball in terms of at his feet, very great with the link up and decision making, very fast, and he looks very composed all the time. I feel like Erling Haaland is just a little bit of a tap-in merchant, in my opinion, but there's no doubt he has quality. He's physically imposing, jumps really high for headers, and gets on the end of chances, and can strike the ball hard and true. So there's no doubt that Erling Haaland is a great striker. So,
well, unfortunately, SJ does not have us to have it in order, so we're going to jump to the next game. Not in order. Man United 2, Crystal Palace 1.
Whoa. That is not what's on my screen. All right? That's not what's on my screen. I will take control here, Anthony. All right? That's not what's on my screen. The result that is on my screen is Everton 3, Newcastle 2. And lo and behold, we have a Newcastle fan here, Anthony. Hey, how's it going, mate?
My caption just says it all. To lose to Pickford is sackable. I'm sorry. I know I've said, yes, you can be Carabag or carry a bag or whatever the fuck you want to call that team. To lose to Everton at home and to lose to a former Mackham, sackable. How is he still in a job? You're taking a Champions League club for the last couple of years to below a promoted club. And if we did not have Tonali today, because Tonali yesterday, fucking he's a brilliant player. I don't know how the fuck did he not score that. Hit freaking Pickford's head and bounced off the crossbar like it's... Apparently that crossbar's still reverberating. It's still going. Like, I don't know how the fuck he said that, but that's besides the point. The game, specifically, we looked okay in games, but we lack energy. We lack ideas. And for this club to move forward, unfortunately, he needs to go, and we need to get ourselves a manager that is, like, forward-minded, like a Xabi Alonso, who's able to do that passing movements and be able to play that football, like a Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp is literally Eddie Howe 2.0, for example. Likes that Jurgen pressing and likes that high line. But, don't know, maybe it will be until the end of the season where we make the decision to sack Eddie Howe or keep him or whatever. But in my opinion, the football's gone stale, unfortunately.
Look, that's in my opinion. I think that's a really interesting take, only because that I think this is. Look, I am going to be critical of you here because I do think that is like a bit of a knee-jerk fan reaction in terms of like teams playing shit, selection's not great. I'm just going to make a decision and say that my manager needs to be better. Welcome back, SJ.
That's the first time I've done it.
That's all right. We've did the shit. Don't stress. Yeah, it's all good. Anthony just said a very interesting point, which I was just about to pick apart just then. He mentioned that he thinks that Eddie Howe might need to move on by the end of the season. Whoa, let's calm down with the whoa. What are we doing?
Sorry, I don't know what's going on. I was trying to move you around. I was trying to move me. I want to be in the top left, but I'll be at the bottom. No,
do the triple one. I like that. That wasn't too bad.
You like
Shows my pause, All
right, let's go on that one. There you go. There's that. I need a fucking shave.
Oh, me too, cuz. Don't you worry.
Sorry about that. Do apologise about
that. Yeah, Anthony made a very interesting point where he said Eddie Howe might need to move on by the end of the season. And I was just about to say that I think this is a bit of like a case of fan sees the team not performing, must be the manager. Do you not think that the players, and I think I've seen this at Spurs, which is why I'm asking the question, do you not think the players need to take accountability for the situation that you guys are in? Because they're good enough.
If you want to go off if you see a manager, and I'm going to say Diego Simeone, for example, at Atletico Madrid, if things have gone stale at a football club, you're not going to progress anywhere. You see Arsenal with Arsene Wenger. Tactics got stale, everything got stale, and you just finished outside the top four. That's what I feel like is happening with Eddie Howe at the moment. The tactics have gone stale. It's just the one. We have too many runners in this team. We don't have enough ball playing ideas. Like you got Jolinton that's a runner, a Tenali that's a runner. You got Bruno Guimaraes, which without him, God knows where the fuck we will be. You got Anthony Alanga, who I am sorry, one of the worst wingers I've seen in a Newcastle shirt. Jacob Murphy is a billion times of a better player, in my opinion, than Anthony Alanga. We got Gordon, who is just, scored 4 goals against Karabag. But apart from that, he's really not done much in the Prem. And you got a back line still starting Dan Burn every week instead of a couple of other guys like Lewis Hall or Tiffany Livramento who could be starting in that back line, giving us some
I
speed.
don't think you're going to keep Livramento.
Nah, he's gone. He's gone.
And I don't
He's
think
done.
you're going to keep Tenali either. I think Tenali's gone as well.
I think Bruno Guimaraes goes out the door before Tenali. I feel like he's much more of a complete midfielder. This might sound crazy, but I can see Bruno Guimaraes in a Real Madrid jersey.
I can see all three of them.
I can see him in a Real Madrid jersey. I think he's that quality of a midfielder, in my opinion.
I think he'll lose all 3 of them. Sorry, I think he'll lose all 3 of them. I think it'll be a massive exodus at Newcastle.
Yeah, and we need players like to point out Granit Xhaka, like a Granit Xhaka who has the balls to be like, knows what the shirt means to the football club. I feel like we have a couple of guys in that football club that has no backbone. There's no backbone in this team, unfortunately. And it feels like we need to start off with the elephant in the room. Nick Pope, please transfer list him and see you later. He is the worst goalkeeper I have seen, and I've seen Andre Onana about twice, so many times. He is that bad of a goalkeeper. We need a keeper badly.
But you've got one. This is the thing. We've had this conversation before. You've got a keeper. You've got Ramsdale. You look at the Everton game, right, and you look at the 2 keepers, right, and this is the comparison between the 2. You've got the England number 1, Jordan Pickford, right, who on his day is phenomenal. You know, he keeps Everton in games. He's done it through relegation battles.
He had a great day the other day.
Yeah. You've got Nick Pope. The first goal should not be a goal. You should be grabbing that, holding on to that. And that happens, you know, conditions, it's wet, it's slippery, all that. You can blame loads of stuff. Then you've got the other end. I'm looking at Tenali, I'm thinking, that's top bins. That is top bins. How the fuck does he save it? That's the difference. And that is the difference between the fine margins between winning a game and drawing it. And I'm looking at that, and I think Kels is looking at that. And when he was on the end of it, I'm thinking, that's a goal. But Pickford, props to you, mate. Big shout out to Jordan Pickford for Everton. That was fucking... Because that was hit with some venom.
That was
Tenali meant that to go in the back of the net, you know. And this is the problem, you know. And you look at the game, you come back, you come back into the game, but it's too late. But you know, like Arsenal, it's been in the media at the moment. Arsenal looking at Anthony Gordon. I'm like, yeah, good player, but is it what Arsenal need? Like, if we are looking to win the Premier League and other trophies and that, no offense to Anthony Gordon, he's a class player. Don't get me wrong, but shouldn't we be looking at someone a bit more like high profile? You know, I just don't see him. He's not consistent for me for Newcastle. I don't even know when the last time he scored a goal. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Anthony, do you remember the last time that Anthony Gordon scored a goal for your club?
In the Prem or the Champions League?
Whatever.
In the Prem.
Well, the Champions League when he scored 4 against Karabag in that 6-1 win.
Fire up. What about Prem?
God, you had to go back for a while to go back that.
That's what I mean, you know.
But this is what I'm saying. And you talk about Tenali and Guimaraes. I would rather see Guimaraes leave than Tenali because I feel like Tenali, he feels like he needs to owe back to the football club because of the ban that he did. Like he missed a whole year. So I feel like, in my opinion, he owes to the fans to be like having at least some or couple good seasons at the club. For the ban that he had for like a year, was it a year and a half or 2 or whatever it was? So, and he couldn't play for like a year at Newcastle. So, I feel like he may own it. Like, but if we get like bucket loads of money for Guimaraes, we can spend that elsewhere and try to improve this side. Because Guimaraes, I think he came out and said after certain games, he said that he loves the club. He loves the club. But if you look at this side. it could be miraculous that we could finish outside of Europe but make the Champions League final. But we're not going to go that far ahead. If we win the Champions League, my God, SJ
Barcelona.
Who knows? This is not the same Barcelona team from the freaking 2010s.
Lamal versus Dan Burn.
Dan Burn won't be playing, that's for sure. But,
All right.
But hey,
You can reach from the chandeliers, and you can reach from the chandeliers. I love the slip side. Like, no faith in the manager, but we're going to reach the Champions League.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, what is going on here?
Typical Geordie fan, aren't you?
The duality of being a Newcastle fan. We're going to win the Champions League.
It's a reality of being a Ferrari fan for most of my life.
Don't get me started on that.
I told you that you've got to have faith in your club, right? They beat Karabag hands down. You know, you're a little bit worrying on the second leg, 100%, right? But you're into the Champions League. Now you've got to concentrate. You've got a big opponent, you know, and they're not that they can be got at. They can be got at. You beat PSG, you beat those teams, but you're going to have to sort something out, you know. And end of the day, if there's no other, you know, you've got Man City in the FA Cup. You're still in two big tournaments, you know, and it's just trying to keep it consistent. Just want to go over to the next team. I know, sorry, I do apologise, we're disconnected, but obviously Eddie Howe. I'm going to go with this. I'll put the question in there. Do you believe Eddie Howe's time is up at Newcastle? Do you believe that they need to change, or do you believe that he's the right man for next season as well?
It's going to come down to his last part of the season.
And he won't stop, will he?
If he keeps his damn job, because...
So you think his time's up?
I reckon it is, because... Okay. That's my opinion, yeah. Okay.
I think you guys would be in a 10 times worse position if Eddie Howe was not your manager, in my opinion. I feel like he's a phenomenal... He's done fantastic work at Newcastle. And I think his resume, from what he's shown, if he does get fired or sacked or leaves, in my opinion, I feel like he's one of the top guys that a lot of clubs would want to recruit. I can see Eddie Howe at Manchester United. I think he's that level of manager. And I think that sort of personality and character type, if you will, would be very, very effective at a club like Manchester United. And I think if he does move on, I see him in that dugout, in my opinion. But I think Newcastle, in my opinion, would be really silly to move him on. I know, like, the season hasn't been great. I know that, you know, the away form has been atrocious. Like, it hasn't been great.
His transfer business also needs to improve.
But the transfer business is not just on Eddie Howe. That's on the entire club as a whole, right? And how they're facilitating what, even if there is a discussion of facilitating of what he needs, are they even having those discussions? Like, I think it's been pretty clear that recently you can see clubs that are kind of disregarding what the manager even wants or needs or thinks is going to be effective. You know, clubs kind of operate in their own little ecosystem, if you will, right? And they kind of make decisions on their own. And, you know, I just think the modern game is very different, and it's not just based on Eddie Howe, right? I would love to sit here and say Eddie Howe's recruitment is atrocious, but it's not just on him, right? I think in the modern game, it's very much a holistically, how's the club looking to approach that recruitment, right? I just think Eddie Howe's a phenomenal manager. I don't know. That might be my rose-tinted glasses. That might just be my opinion. I haven't seen and sat here as a Newcastle fan this last season, and I don't have that emotion to kind of empathize with you, Anthony. But I just think he's a great manager, and I will see. I have no doubt that he'll be able to manage in the Premier League and maybe even a top 6 club next season if he does get moved on.
Yeah, I do agree. I'm going to agree with Kaz. I think Eddie Howe, you know, I think St James Park is still a fortress to come to at home. Extremely difficult to break down. We've seen it lots of times. I think, could you call Everton a blip? You still put 2 goals past Everton. I know it's Everton, and you know you have those mistakes, but you're definitely going to have to blame the keeper on the mistakes that cost you the game.
Yeah.
And I don't. Could Newcastle be looking at, you know, fighting for something higher? 100%. But you're still in 2 massive tournaments. You know, the Champions League. You look at the clubs below you and in front of you. None of them are in the Champions League. Only up to one is. I don't think they're going to be in it for much longer. But you've got two other clubs, and that's in the top 5, top 6. So I think you still need to keep positive. You're going into the Champions League. You've got a formidable opponent of Barcelona. They've won it. How many times? I don't know. And you never know. Champions League, one game, great. You've got 2 games against them. And it's going to be. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing the English clubs.
Sorry, SJ. I thought just the way you were going. I thought for sure you were about to pop out the. I was waiting for it. I just like your mannerisms. I'm like, right, is he gonna do it? Fuck it, I'll do it for him. No way.
Yeah, but no, I think you're gonna have faith. And end of the day, you've got a tough game this week coming in midweek break. You are home again, so obviously I think you'll bounce back, and I don't think it'll be an easy game. And I don't think it'll be an easy game for United either. So it'll be very interesting to see. And obviously Everton going at home at Burnley. All right, let's move on. We'll go to our next game, and I'm going to go back to you, Cass, on this. Burnley and Brentford. Like, how unlucky are Burnley?
Yeah, you got to feel for him. There's no two ways about it. I think like that is gut wrenching. I think the finish, far out. I forget his name already, but there was one of those finishes that were just superb. Takes it down on and it just grazes.
Actually,
barely. What a finish! What a finish!
He's clinical in front of goal.
It takes it down. Beautiful
I think
head over the ball.
He's robbed.
Yeah.
If we saw it this morning, he's robbed.
Yeah, no two ways about it. Yeah, 100%. Look,
this morning.
It's a bit. You got to feel bad for it. They're so hard done by. They should have at least bare minimum gotten a point from that game. They deserved it. They played phenomenal. They played very, very aggressive. They let a team like Brentford, who have been superb this season, right? They gave them a little bit too much respect in the first half, probably from a bit of a blow-dry treatment from the managers. Scott
Parker.
Thank you. Yep. I was going to say Scott Jackson. I'm like, that's not the one. Yeah, and they just came out firing in the second half and really took the game. What I really like about this Burnley team, which is bizarre to say, they kind of have these blips in time where they just turn it on. Like I think of like a game. I'm pretty sure it was a Spurs game where they just randomly scored 3 goals in 10 minutes, and they just smashed some goals past them. And I'm pretty sure that they did a similar thing to the Liverpool result earlier on in the season where Liverpool should have won, and that was when the danger really started to set into Liverpool that they weren't going to win the title. They were nowhere near contending because they were losing and drawing to Burnley in their own backyard. So, yeah, I think this Burnley's team is showing a lot of fight and desire, and I think they're going to be a very hard place to go to and a very hard team to play against in these last 9 matches.
Well, you look at the 2 last results that they've had. Obviously, they've got Brentford, which were very unlucky, and Chelsea. And you look at these on paper and you go in Brentford and Chelsea. And end of the day, Brentford were very lucky. And Chelsea were just shit. They just did not do well. They got complacent. And I like what you're saying, and I agree with that. A team that is basically, we're probably going to say is going to get relegated. But you never know. There's still 9 games, anything can happen, and we've seen, Burnley put in some fantastic results, but they're fighting. They're fighting to stay out. They're fighting to stay in the Premier League, and you saw that, and you're definitely thinking, oh, Brentford 2-0 up, game over. How the form they've been in. Whatever his name is up from
Igor Thiago.
Yeah, that's it. I forget his name every time. With him, how he's been prolific this season. I think it's 18 goals this season, I think now.
Correct.
And Brentford, long throws, Keith Andrews has done a phenomenal job with them. Without a doubt. And you're thinking, oh, yeah, that's done. But they didn't. They fought back. And I think, did they take the lead, like 3-2?
Burnley?
They were 3-0 down. They were 3-0 down.
Were they 3-0 down? Let's double check.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were 3-0 down and they scored heaps of goals in the second half.
Yeah, so Brentford scored in the 25th and the 9th minute, the 25th and the 34th. Oh, it was 3-3. That's right. They came back. Yeah, because they scored in the 45. Yeah, they came back 3-3. So they came back 3 goals after half time.
Well, they scored a 4th goal disallowed, then Brentford went and scored in the other end.
And then the Barnes one.
And then the last one.
You know, and that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. You know, 3-0 down
What
and
a
3
character.
goals.
Yeah.
You know, straight away. And you get that one, you get that belief, you get the second, you know, and it's like that game when you have a 2-1 or 1-0, you know, and you can't be complacent. And that's why these pundits turn around and say, oh, they need to finish them off. They need that second goal. They need that third goal, you know, because it's like 2-1 or it's 3-1. You get that third and you're like, it brings it back to 3-2. You know, they waste a bit of time, put it to the corner flag, game's over, done, you know. So, yeah, great job. What about Brentford, Anthony? They've been interesting in the last few weeks. Obviously got 3 wins in the 5, obviously 1 loss and 1 draw. Sitting in 7th position at the moment, 43 points, only 2 points behind Chelsea. Are you looking at that Brentford going into this week's game midweek? Obviously Bournemouth, tough game, and obviously Chelsea got Villa. Are you looking for Brentford to overtake Chelsea?
Yes, I'm going to say yes
Wow.
because I trust Brentford more on a result than Chelsea at the moment. Unfortunately, because Chelsea, that one's made me tear my hair out because every time I pick Chelsea to win, they lose, and if I pick them to lose, they win. So it's like, be consistent. But Brentford, Keith Andrews, manager of the season, hand out. That's it. That's done. Brentford, I predicted Brentford to finish last with what Wolves have right now. They're knocking on the door of a Champions League spot. So Keith Andrews, fair play, fair freaking play. He deserves manager of the season.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good topic to finish on. All right, let's go to the next game. I'm going to go back to you, Anthony. I watched this game, most of it. Leeds United and Man City. Spotlight was on Man City first, obviously playing first before Arsenal play on the Monday, which was this morning. What was your thoughts to the Man City and Leeds game?
What do you want me to say? City just did what they need to do.
I don't agree. I'm
City
sorry.
did what they had to do, and they dispatched Leeds with pretty ease. But Haaland
Did you watch the game?
It looked pretty easy for City.
Not in the last 10 minutes, mate. No.
It was a dogfight for Leeds.
They were hanging on.
Yeah, it was a dogfight.
Even it felt pretty simple for City. And
I'll say one thing, right, before I then pass it on to you and then continue, right? Didn't have Semio, that game's a draw. Without a doubt. That game is a draw. They relied on their number 1 signing that they've signed.
I think a more crucial piece to that was Ryan Cherky. I think that was a more important piece to that.
Oh, yeah.
But I agree. I think Semenyo's made a massive impact in that Man City side. I think you kind of expected him to do so. But yeah, I think that ball from Cherky was class. Like to cut through a back 5 and a 4 mid block perfectly on a penny piece right there for Aït-Nouri to have time, look up, see Semenyo and play with that left foot. I think that's a world class pass. Great pass from Brian Cherky. I think, in my opinion, I think he's probably maybe not next to Bruno Fernandes, but up there as a fantastic midfield 10 and has shown to be very, very proficient in those areas outside of the box. Yeah, Odegaard, agreed, but
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not wearing a fucking shirt. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't rate him.
Who, Cherky or Odegaard?
Cherky.
Did you see the pass?
I've said yeah.
Class.
I've
What do you mean?
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't rate him. He looks fat and overweight.
What?
Yeah, look at him.
The
He
last-
just looks fat and
the last
overweight.
What
thing-
am I hearing?
The
That's
last
true.
thing-
Look at him next time. Go on.
The last
Eddie.
thing that I'm going to do before I head to bed, because I only had 2 hours of sleep last night, so I need to actually go to bed.
See what I mean? Inconsistent, aren't they?
Soft cock.
Inconsistent. Jesus, do you know what time it is for me?
The last thing that I will do before I go, is that City did what they need to do, and now they need to look forward to the next game. But that Arsenal v City game, title decider. There has to be a title decider. Do the Arsenal glasses Says Connor.
Arsenal glasses, mate, because we'll bring Kels will ask me questions about the game anyway. But I just think I've said this and I've said this all the way along, and we had a big conversation last week about it. You know, the pressure, and it's fucking pressure. Like, people are talking about, oh yeah, Arsenal playing the ugliest football and stuff like that. City is celebrating every game. You saw them against Newcastle. You saw them against Leeds. They know that they are under extreme pressure because they're chasing. And they drop one result. It's basically, it could be finished. And Pep has already come out and he said that they're not playing their best. There is going to be twists and turns. I've said it so many times, there's going to be twists and turns. Yeah, they got the job done, 1-0, well done, 3 points. That's all that matters. But was it comfortable? That's the question. You know, Leeds United, good team. Been very, very good at home. But was it? It wasn't comfortable, was it, Cass? It was not comfortable.
No, it wasn't comfortable for City at all. I think they. But look, I think, you know, if this was at the other side of the coin, it's a result finished off. It's 3 points. It's on to the next for Man City. I think they need to be near perfect up until the end of the season. They have to be perfect to even contest for this title, because I think Arsenal have an easier schedule looking into it. I think the most recent game was probably their toughest game up until the end of the season. I'm very, very concerned as to where Arsenal are going to be dropping points. The only way I can see them dropping points is if they make it far in Champions League, far in the FA Cup, and have maybe a few injuries.
Well, they've got that Carabao Cup in the game. They've got that Carabao Cup in that mid-game as well. Both teams do. So, you know. All right. Well, Leeds, I've been pretty impressed with Leeds. And I think if they do end up staying up, I think props to them. I think they're a fantastic team. I think they've got some fantastic players. I think they've done the business they've needed to do. I think Calvert-Lewin has bailed them out in some big games this season. They've got some big results. You know, the 3-1 against Chelsea, the 3-3 against Liverpool. You know,
saying that though, he could have put 2 or 3 away against this Man City side. Very early on, he had some great chances. I think,
and he had one at the end as well.
Oh yeah, that is what. So I think he can be.
You've got to be clinical. That's it, isn't it? You've got to be clinical in those moments.
It is what it is. We move.
We do. We'll move on to the next game, which is Brighton, Nottingham Forest. Brighton done really, really well in this. What a goal Matoma could have been if he'd have scored that. That was class. Took it around about 4 players and then just hit it. But what a goal from Gibbs White. Oh, what a belter.
Yeah, that was a nice hit from outside the box. That was a really, really good shot. I kind of feel I'm going to be critical of Matoma here. I kind of feel like he had a really high. I want to say 2 seasons ago, maybe even touted to easily be a part of like top 6 clubs.
Yeah, Chelsea wanted him.
Yeah, performing really, really well. And he kind of has had a lot of this invisible patch, maybe for the last 6 months, I'll say. Haven't really even heard much about him. He could have been getting no game time, and I genuinely wouldn't have known. You know, I just think he was on top of the world a few seasons ago. It seems to be kind of dipping a little bit, whether or not it's tactical, whether or not it's form, injuries. You know, we don't know the context fully, but I just think that for a player of his level, he should be at least providing for that Brighton team week in and week out, especially if he's looking to move on further up and maybe even looking to move on abroad to a big club, maybe even go to La Liga. I can see him being very successful there. Just that type of player that he is. I'm a little bit disappointed. I think Matoma can, and I think he would be disappointed in himself because I think he can provide a lot more to football in general with just his ability. Players like him, they make you want to stand up off your chair and want to go and pay money to watch him play football. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed, but good result for Brighton overall. I think they really needed a result like this. I think this is 2 on the bounce for them, I think. I could be wrong with that.
Yeah, 2 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw.
Yeah, Fabian Herzler has really needed a result. So I'm glad to see that they've got one against Nottingham Forest, who, in my opinion, I think they're going to be facing the drop.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about Forest. I think since they've got the new manager, I think that you can see a little bit of lift, but both teams going into the midweek, Brighton have got Arsenal and Nottingham Forest have got City. Like it doesn't get any easier. They're coming off an L. They're going into, but they're going to want to bounce back. And this is where I'm saying it. This is where it's crunch time because Nottingham Forest need a result because the guys in front of them, if you look at them, Leeds United, they lost. Crystal Palace lost. Newcastle obviously lost. West Ham, I think they drew. Did they draw? West Ham lost as well. So if Nottingham Forest win the next game, takes them above Spurs. So they're going to be wanting, and they are in the relegation fight.
But let me ask you this, SJ, right? If you have 4 wives in 1 year, at what point does the honeymoon period feel normal? You know what I mean? They've had 4 managers in 1 season. Like, is the new manager bounce going to be that effective on a team that has chopped and changed managers 4 times, 4 different managers, obviously made 3 changes in 1 season, and it's really disappointing to see this team be in this position because I just think you look at the lineup and the quality of players that they've got and the business that they did in the summer. I think this team was easily, with the improvements that they made, they should be at least in the top half of the table, in my opinion. They were fighting for Champions League football last season. They were 3rd at one point last season. So the fall off from Forest it's really disappointing. I think, you can easily point the finger at Marinakis, the owner of Nottingham Forest. But I also think the other side of the cloth that would they be in this position if someone like Marinakis wasn't in charge in terms of the amount of money that he's invested into this team and this club, him clearly being a part of the leadership group and the board and really being active with the club. So look, it's a double-edged sword. I think that the decisions that have been made and the relationship with Nuno at the beginning of this season has really, really hurt Nottingham Forest. I think if they could have maintained that relationship, I think if Nuno and Marinakis could have been happy together, they both would have been very successful in this club. Marinakis and Nuno. I think Nuno was really, really effective with this team, and I think they'd be top half of the table, and they wouldn't even be nowhere near this relegation fight. So, really disappointing. If I'm a Nottingham Forest fan, I just want the season to be over. Like whatever happens. Like it's really disappointing to see because they are a really great club. 2 European championships titles, sorry, I should say, and they have always been a Premier League capable side, and they have Premier League capable players. And you'll see in the offseason, if they do go down, half of that team will probably be moving on.
Yeah, I agree. I look at the team. You got Sells, goalkeeper of the season, with David Raya for clean sheets. You got Murillo. What a player.
Yeah.
Solid defender. You've got Callum Hudson-Odoi. It played for Chelsea. His crossing ability is fantastic. And then you look at the strikers as well. Chris Wood hasn't really figured this season, and is that the problem? But then they've relied on Igor Jesus as well, who has just dipped a little bit, and they're relying on their captain, and it seems to be the captain that bails them out all the time. And it seems that under the new manager that they've got a little bit of fight. The problem is, though, when you're talking about the managers, and this is probably the biggest thing in the Premier League this season, is there's been so many sackings. It's unbelievable how many Premier League managers. I can't name them all, but it's probably more than hands, and that unbalances it. That unbalances the squad. You then have to understand their new training regimes, their new tactics, and if it doesn't suit, it comes a little bit too early. Look at Igor Tudor. He comes into Tottenham. He's playing a London derby. You know, it's going to take time to adapt. But the thing is that they don't have the time. You know, they need to get these results. And then you're playing City and you're playing someone else and someone else. You know, you've got to be bouncing. I think Forest will do really, really well against City. I don't know if they'll win the game, but I think they'll give them a good go as they did this season. But will they be able to do it that they did this season with this manager? Because this manager was sacked from Wolves, you know, and Rob Edwards, he did a phenomenal job with Wolves. I think the fight, the way he is, you know, he's managed Luton. Luton obviously got relegated, but you can see the fight with him. You can see how happy he was when Wolves won, and I love that passion. I love that. You know, that's why we love football. Forest, they need results, and they've got a tough game next. So I have to wait and see. That's all I can say. But I'm with you. I feel for them. I think they are a good team, and they do belong in the Prem. They've got some fantastic players, and I think if they do end up going down, I think you are going to see a lot of them dip. You know, and Murillo will be the first one. Someone will get him straight away, and Sells. And I don't think Gibbs White will stay there. I don't think he'll go to the Championship. I think he'll move to somewhere like Fulham or Everton or someone like that. You know, so
Newcastle.
Yeah, probably. He'd be a good player.
Yeah.
He scores goals. Gibbs White, a good player.
Phenomenal player.
I think Tottenham are really annoyed they didn't get him, but oh well. Let's move on. Next game is I'll let you take this one to me. Fulham and Spurs.
No, I'll let you take this one, Esther.
Same shit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Really, it's just I had this down for I think I had this down for a 2-1.
To Tottenham?
Yeah, no, for Fulham, and I got it. Yeah, I got it right. So,
someone check the spreadsheet.
No, it's not. I got it spot on. Fulham. I thought they had it easy. Tottenham. I watched a little bit of this, right, and they got no fucking clue. They brought the new manager in. I was thinking, right, and I'm thinking, do something. Mickey Van de Ven doesn't want to be there. He's basically come out and said it, you know.
Yeah.
They're in a lot of trouble, and I said this weeks back. You know, they are in a relegation fight. They are in a relegation fight, and they know it because they're not getting the results. Arsenal lost. Fulham lost. They're now going against Crystal Palace. And there's another derby. There's 3 derbies in a row. Like, I see them. I see maybe a draw or they'll lose it. I think they're in a lot of trouble. I think they're in a real lot of trouble. They've got the players. Tottenham do have the players. They've got some fantastic players. Don't get me wrong, but that team, they're not gelling. They're not. They're doing things silly. You know, Romero. He's probably one of the top goal scorers for him. You know, I don't know. I thought Fulham were really good. Iwobi's goal, class, ex-Arsenal. Thank you very much. But just a great finish. And Harry Wilson, been phenomenal this season. So overall, Fulham, well-deserved. And I thought they were always going to win that game, to be honest with you.
I mean, I didn't think they were always going to win that game. But I do think that, I agree with everything you've mentioned there.
Do you not think they were always going to win the game?
Well, the reason why I said is because I know that Tottenham have so many class players, and in my opinion, right, I just think that Igor Tudor reminds me has a little bit of that passion and excitement and stature that Thomas Frank didn't have, and Postecoglou had probably a little bit more than Igor Tudor to try to maybe drive these players and have some belief, put some fire under their backsides, right?
But he's been sacked by 10 clubs.
Anyway, let's move on. But the thing is, right, is the players are good enough. And I was saying this to Anthony before when he was mentioning about Eddie Howe needs to be moved on, this, that, right. At what point do the players need to take accountability? At what point do the players... Say again? I didn't hear what you said.
They need to take accountability all the time because they're the ones that perform on pitch, but they don't. It's always the manager to blame. Yeah,
agreed. And I think this whole perception that, Thomas Frank was a terrible manager, this, that, right. I don't think he was fit to wear the Spurs mantra and to manage that club. I think that club needs to have a manager that plays positive football, and Thomas Frank is not that, right? And I think that was a really negative appointment to begin with, and I kind of thought of that in the first place. But I thought it would work at a team like Spurs because they showed that capacity in the Europa League final, and I got them some semblance of success. And I thought maybe that could follow that through with Thomas Frank. Didn't work out. But I just think this team, they have no desire to be there. They have no desire to play for the club. There's no fight or belief. And I think it was so damning watching Igor Tudor's press conference after the game. So damning. Where he's sitting there and he's listening to questions come at him. And he's essentially he's insinuating that the players don't want to play, but he's not saying it. There's a lot of questions being thrown at him, and he's like, there's so many. I'm trying to remember the specific wording that he used, but he said something along the lines of, I am paraphrasing, that there's a much bigger problem at this club. And that was his answer to everything. There's a much bigger problem at this club. He's been there for 2 matches, SJ.
Conte said the same.
2 matches. This is the history of Tottenham.
Yeah. And we was talking about it the other day and saying, obviously, that what Tottenham bring in, obviously, the stadium, the new stadium, and obviously all that, the revenue and that, and, going down to the Championship would be massive. But you're looking at the players that they've got as well. And, they've signed Colin Moani from PSG. And, he must be thinking, what the hell am I doing here, because they've got some fantastic players. Xavi Simons has been very, very disappointing. Is it another flop? Is it another player that needs to adapt? They got Mathis Tell from Munich, and he was the only one that really managed to create the goal, really. And he came on as a substitute. So I don't know. I think they're in a lot of trouble, and I think the fixtures coming up, it does not look good for them. So yeah, I think Tottenham really do need to look behind, not in front at the moment, because Leeds played really, really well against Man City. Burnley were unlucky against Brentford. And Forest were a bit unlucky against Brighton as well. So those teams are just being unlucky, but Tottenham don't seem to have a plan when they're going into these games. They're playing a London derby against Fulham. Fulham have been on a good run. You look at their form. Obviously 3 losses, 2 wins on the bounce, so that they're in top 10 at the moment, at 1 point behind. They're on joint points with Everton, 3 points behind Brentford, in 7th. So Fulham have had a fantastic season so far, from what I've seen, and I think Harry Wilson's been great. Tottenham, though, 16th in the table, 29 points. They're 2 points against Forest, and West Ham are 25. There's hardly anything in it, and there's enough games for them to drop down. They lose 1 game on Forest miraculously, or even West Ham's. For instance, West Ham have got we got West Ham have got Fulham, so that'll be a tough game, and obviously that's at home to Craven Cottage. But if West Ham get the result, that pushes them up to what? You got 25, 26. That pushes them up to 28. They're a point behind Spurs if Spurs lose and Forest lose.
Yeah. They need to sort it out quick. I think Igor Tudor has a massive, massive task ahead of him. I think you get the kids on. This is the point where you get the kids on. They'll bring energy. They'll bring a lot more desire. They'll listen to everything this manager has to say. They'll be a sponge. You bring the kids on. You have to. You're in such a dire situation that you contact the under-23s coach, the under-21s, the under-19s, and you say, give me everything you've got, boys.
Would you? Or would you just say to the players, if you don't fucking sort it out, we're getting relegated?
You don't think they would have done that for this game, SJ?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know.
I feel like he that's the only thing he had to say for this game.
Don't get me wrong. They've got 13 players injured. So they have been hit hard with injuries this season.
But that team is still good enough to beat Fulham. There's nothing that can change my mind. The lineup that was put out and the players that are on that fucking field are good enough.
Yeah.
Xavi Simons was one of Netherlands' best players at the Euros a few years ago, right? Dominic Solanke is a Premier League proven striker. I'm looking at their lineup. Kolo Muani was playing at Juve, PSG, and was performing well. And honestly, he had a really good game against Arsenal. I think he played phenomenal, right? Basuma has been hit and miss, but I remember when Postecoglou first came onto the scene,
Oh,
he was flying. Basuma, flying.
Yeah.
Jalpolinia, good enough. Conor Gallagher, good enough.
Wrong position.
Van de Ven, good, but they're good enough. SJ.
You're playing Polino right back. The guy is a CDM.
Well, not in this game. He was playing DM. They had Archie Gray at fullback and they had Porro at right back.
Precisely. Archie Gray, young lad. No, not good enough.
I think that's harsh. He's very young. He is not even 20 years old yet. I think that's harsh.
Not good enough.
Anyway.
Got bullied against Arsenal. You know, you need that experience. Well, it's true though.
Yeah,
got the size of him,
yeah.
You know, man versus boy. But I look at the Tottenham team and you got Ben Davies left back. No good. Vicararo, he's probably the only one, you know, that really wants to fight. You've got Romero and Mickey van der Ven, who I think are class. I think Romero's got discipline, like shocking. You're right back. Spence, I think he's got talent. It's going to take him time to get to there. You know, he's got an opportunity to be in the England squad, you know, and play really, really well. You look at midfield, no Maddison, no playmaker. No, they've got nothing.
Or Kulusevski.
They've got nothing. Well, yeah, left side. They've got nothing, right? Richarlison, waste of time. Dominic Solanke's been injured. You know, they've been in problems. And I think ever since they've lost James Maddison, they've gone downhill.
Yeah, agreed.
Because they just haven't had that person that can just, you know, create something like open up the channels, you know, and
pivot through the midfield, be able to cut through lines.
Yeah, and Ben Sinclair is just not good enough either. You know, the guy spent half of the time out injured as well. You know, Basuma hasn't played enough. You know, you're just relying on players which are squad rotation players. They're not going to. Basuma's not going to start in the starting 11 when you've got Polima, Madison, Kulievski, and fucking Mafistel and Simon. He ain't starting. He's coming on. He's playing the last 20 minutes, calm the game down, play out box to box, you know. And then up front and on the right, they've got Odegaard, I think, who is a great talent. I think he's a great kid. But that's it.
Yeah.
Where's the, you know?
They sold Brennan Johnson in January.
Stupid.
He was their top goal scorer last season.
That's
what
I
are
mean.
they doing?
You know? And they got rid of Daniel Levy, and they were like, yeah, he's the problem and all this shit. And then Vinny Vakachison has taken over, ex-Arsenal as well. Funny that. They just don't seem to have a clue. And the problem is as well, they're in the Champions League. Right? 9 times out of 10, we're just going to touch base on this quickly before we go on to the next team. Champions League, right? They've got, because I put it in the other day, you think they are going to beat Atletico Madrid?
No chance. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a double-digit scoreline.
Alvarez is going to wipe the floor with them.
He's going to have a field day.
And Lookman, well, at the moment, he's on fire.
Yeah.
You know? So, no chance. Tottenham are finishing the season with fuck all.
I said, you heard it here first. Double-digit scoreline for Atletico. I'm telling you now.
I think Tottenham won't get relegated, but it'll be fucking close.
Be a bee's
like 1 point or something.
Dick.
It will. And the thing is, what before we go on to the next team, nothing's changed, Cass. They were 16th last season. 17th. They are 17th, and Man United were fucking 16th. Mm-hmm. They could be even further. So nothing's changed.
I think last season is a different discussion. We can talk about Tottenham all day. I think we should move on.
Move on. We're going to go to Arsenal and Chelsea because we're going to finish with your team at the end. So,
you don't want to finish with your team?
No. We'll finish with your. No, we always finish with my team. Come on, let's talk about you. Fire away the questions. This was the biggest game. Obviously, City already played, done the job. Then it was Arsenal's time. So yeah, you take it away.
Yeah, I'll say that I think Arsenal were very, very good. I think I will say that Chelsea looked fucking. Robert Sanchez, what was he doing?
First 2 minutes, wasn't it? Like,
First 15 minutes. What do you mean? Yeah. He was buckling. Like he could start a whole seatbelt factory in between his net. I don't know what was going on. He was buckling that hard. But I think great result for Arsenal. But I think Chelsea could have done way more to cause problems against this team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was just waiting for your response to questions to fire around as you normally do. How do I put it? It wasn't a good game.
No, it was a car crash.
It wasn't a good game, but
it was me at China.
Anyway. Let's talk. Have you got any questions for me regarding this game?
Yeah, what do you think about the game? Yeah.
All right, I'll start off and say it wasn't.
I'll just let you go. You don't need me to ask questions.
I like the questions because you could ask some really like.
I'll be honest, I'm just blanking at the minute. I don't really have any questions. Usually I would, but
all right,
I'll pick your brain when you start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
All right, you pause me. No, I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was a good game. I think the one thing I'm getting frustrated about at the moment with social media is they say, "Oh yeah, they're playing ugly football." They played 2 fucking derbies within 3 days. You think they're going to be playing higher tempo football? No way. Arsenal know that they need to get 3 points and they need to continue what they're doing. There are 5 points at the top. That's a good gap to have. Yes, they know that City have got that game in hand and they know that they're going to play them. So they've just got to do everything what they're doing. We've played Chelsea. We've beaten them. Right? And the stat going into that game was 10 games of beating Chelsea, So we beat them in the Carabao twice in the first leg and in the second leg. Yep. I think we've beaten them in the season as well.
Yep.
So we've got a good run, and it was always it was going to be a lot tougher than Tottenham. We knew that. This is probably going to be the hardest fixture, apart from obviously playing Man City. I think we should have scored a lot more in the first half. I don't think we were clinical enough. I thought we were pussyfooting around a little bit. Obviously, we got the first goal. Yeah, it was a deflection, but great play from Gabriel, crossing it in the header on the side, then put it in. And then we obviously put them back. Yeah, they got back into the game as well. Great delivery from Reece James. He was fantastic in that game, without a doubt. And Hincapié, fantastic. But it says it all, doesn't it, when Chelsea couldn't score, but could only score for an Arsenal player scoring for him. And then strikes again, doesn't it? Red card again.
Yeah.
It's 9 red cards this season in the Premier League, or just alone. They're disciplined. Like,
imagine the fees that the Chelsea have to pay for the amount of red cards that they've had too. Like I was watching the game with one of my mates who's an Arsenal fan, and he goes like, that fee's got to be in the 6 digits by now. Has to be. Like
they got no discipline though.
Yeah.
It's a different player every fucking week. And the thing is what I loved about it is Arteta knew that the players were a bit tired. He knew that Rice was like running on his last legs. Makes a substitution. What a substitution to bring on. Someone that's fast, good with the ball, can run. Martinelli knew what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing, and there you go. But when Chelsea then came to the 10 men, it changed. We brought them in a little bit, a little bit, hands in your pockets again that last 10 minutes. But, shocking defending.
I mean, you have to say, Chelsea are probably more comfortable playing at 10 men than 11 this season.
Yeah, to be honest with you. Cole Palmer doesn't look the same player. I watched him. No, not the same player.
I think João Pedro was someone that I was
He's a player.
I was very frustrated with his. He was slipping around a lot.
Oh, I rate him.
I rate him too, and I think he's a good player. But he slipped like 4 times in the first half.
Yeah.
From what? Was there a banana on the floor? Like, did I not see it? Was it invisible? Stay on your feet, bro. Play the ball. Like 9, bare minimum 10, right? That's kind of the role and the archetype that João Pedro plays. You need to be on your feet, play the ball around, link up, and he just was just slipping around and didn't seem comfortable on the ball. Was getting bullied a lot by the Arsenal back line, and it was really disappointing to see. I think it made a big difference bringing on Liam Delap. I think they very much trusted him to put a lot more on that back line and cause a little bit more problems.
Mm-hmm.
I think, in my opinion, that's kind of where the shift started. But yeah, I think, great, as you said before, great delivery from Reece James. Unfortunate for Hincapié to be there and knock it into the back stick, but I think this is just a haram ball derby. I'll be honest. Corner kick FC. Here we come. 3 goals from corners, 0 outfield goals.
But the thing is,
3 points and we move.
Win games.
Yeah.
You know, Chelsea were hacking, and that's what they keep saying. Oh, they were kicking everyone and hacking everyone and wrestling everyone, and that was just basically how the game was going to be. It was going to be a tough, back and forth. Where the set piece is going to work. Could we beat them on open play? We had a few shots. Don't get me wrong. There was a great save that Eze hit low, and Sanchez saved it as well. And Raya again. Oh, Raya! It just this guy does not get enough. What's the word I'm after? He doesn't get enough compliments. He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, like the ball comes in from Garnacho, and he tips it. And he did the same last week when the ball was going across the line against Spurs. Tips it around again. He just does not get enough praise, David Raya. And the biggest question probably is because it was asked from Ian Wright on Sky Sport on Sky Sports, and he said, "Do you think it's a worry that you're saving too many shots?" And he goes, "No." He said, "That's what I'm there to do. I'm there to help my team. I'm there to keep clean sheets." And I think David Raya, if we end up lifting the trophy at the end of the season, winning the Premier League, he's the man that you've definitely got to thank massively, because David's still better than Wright. David who? Right.
David's still better than Raya. Did you try to say Ramsdale?
David De Gea.
Wait, what?
In his prime, yeah, in his prime, probably. David De Gea was a fantastic goalkeeper, but then he was making too many mistakes and turned into Fabian Barthez. And that's when he buggered off and went to Fiorentina. Yeah, I think big shout out to David Raya. I think he keeps us in the games, and I thought Saliba was pretty good. I thought the guys are back there. How do you look at this game now? Because obviously this was probably the one that everyone looked at and thought, this is going to be Arsenal's toughest. How do you look at it now going into the midweek game against Brighton?
For Arsenal, were they going against Brighton? Is that correct? Yeah. Yep. I mean, look, like it's a massive result. There's no two ways about it in terms of just like the 3 points against a very key opposition, of course, Derby. I think Brighton will be a different test. I don't want to say easier, but I'll say a different test. I think that Brighton team is very much more fluid, flexible, tactical. Can cause a lot of problems for a very rigid back line. But I think, Arsenal should come out ahead. I think they've shown a lot of quality this season, and they will. They should be able to get a result against Brighton. I think I'll also touch on this. I think just like the capacity to be able to just sit and get a result is really important for any team, especially going into this stage of the season, right? This specific stage where you're getting into March, you're getting into April, the business end, right? To be able to recognize and be like, hey, I'm pretty confident we can get the result here. We need to be able to rest some players, pivot, make those changes. I think Norgard was a really good replacement for Rice. Nowhere near the quality, but I think he supplemented that role well, and he did it. He did enough, right? I would like to see Norgard. I wish Norgard was utilized a little bit more during the season, especially now that we're at this stage. To start introducing him a little bit more consistently now, it feels a bit rough. I think Declan Rice is such a key part of your midfield and a key part of your team. I just hope for your sake, SJ, he doesn't get a knock, because I think if that happens, we saw it with Odegaard last season, where he was such a key member of that midfield. He's not anymore, and I think that's clear. And that really disrupted your season. And I think it was around, I don't want to say this stage, but a very similar time. Maybe I think his injury was like January, Odegaard's. So I think, if you can protect Declan Rice, do you rest him for this game, SJ, against Brighton? It's a hard one it's a hard decision to take because I think he's so key. So key, makes a big difference. He's another one that I think he could walk into any midfield and perform.
I think the topic that's been, without going too far into it, I think the topic that if Arsenal end up winning quite a lot of trophies, I think he needs to be a talk for Ballon. Without a doubt. Especially if we go into the Champions League and we work teams away, you could look at Arsenal's Champions League draw and say, well, it's Leverkusen. Who's favourites on that? You know? And then you're going into the quarterfinals, going into the semis. And I don't want to underestimate the team. I don't want to underestimate anyone and put down on it. But then if Sporting lose, we've got Bodo Glimt. We're in the final. We're nearly in the final. We've got one more game. And I reckon we'll probably play maybe Barcelona or someone else like that, And they could be got at. They're not the same team they used to be. They got a fantastic player in Lamal, but and it's the way those two teams play. It's like when people say, "Oh yeah, Arsenal going to go to Man City's ground, they're going to get thumped." No, because both teams will counter. They won't do a low block. Man City will counter. Arsenal will counter, and it's just about if Man City get a knock, because Haaland didn't play against Leeds. And they had to rely on their signing when I'm saying Semio, if they get one more, little niggle, and it's the same with Rice, it's the same thing. And it's like 9 games. 9 games. That's all it is, right? I would rest him against Brighton. I'd play Eze again because I thought Eze was okay, but I didn't think, people saying, "Oh yeah, he can play a better game again." It's like, well, he done well against Tottenham, but you just need that. You need that 20 minutes key, finding players, finding channels. Kai came on for a bit, which was really good to see. Havertz back on the field. Odegaard, I think, is out until the end of the season now. He's got a nasty injury, so that looks like it's done. So it could be Eze for the rest of the season, which was fine because it's like for like, isn't it? It's a great replacement, and this is the thing that people keep looking at. Look at that Chelsea game, and you say, "Look who they brought on." Look who they brought on. In Martinelli, they brought like for Saka. They brought Havertz on. They brought Norgard on. They just the players that they brought on were like for like players. There was no unbalance there. You take Timber off, you bring on Ben White. You take off Gabriel, you bring on Mosquera. You take Nkappi on, you bring on Calafiori. Do you know what I mean? It's like for like, and I think that is the key this season. And I do still say it's the pressure. So I would rest Rice. I put him on the bench. And I play Zubamendi and Norgard in the middle and give Norgard a little bit of a go. And then give him a little bit of support and maybe play Eze. And then if you got 20 minutes to go, bring on Rice, just to try and calm the game down or slow the game down and stuff like that. But I think the key thing this week is, as well, both teams are playing at the same time. So that's going to be key. Because it's been one, then the other, and everyone's saying that Man City are playing again before Arsenal play. So it's going to be very interesting to see. And it is that pressure cooker. Again, it is that pressure. Both of these teams are under extreme pressure. The difference is Pep has done it. Arteta hasn't. So that's the difference at the moment. Anyway, last game before we go over our predictions and this midweek results. I felt sorry for you here. I think great first 10 minutes. What a header from the crew. And then he goes and gets sent off. Like, you were going to beat Man United. This was a game that you were going to beat Man United if you had 11 men. Because you were better. Tyrant Mitchell was fantastic on the left. Sarr caused problems. Larson had a few chances. And Man United, they great crossing to Sisco. And Sisco scores again. But the 10 men... that hurt you. Yeah. That's what I'm going to say on that one.
No, I hit the nail on the head. I'm really annoyed, right? Because I kind of felt Cunha was looking for it, man. Cunha was fucking looking for it. Is there a foul? Sure. Is it a red card? Not a chance. No way. Is Lacroix supposed to be off? It's not a penalty
either. It's a fucking free kick.
I agree, 100%. He's looking for it. That's the part that I'm annoyed about. Is that I watched this. It's really silly from Lacroix. It is. It's really silly. But I think Cunha's just looking for it, and he just fucking flops, bro. The molding that I was doing when I saw it was unprecedented. I was sitting there, I just said Dino save it, Dino save it, Dino save it, Dino save it whenever Bruno was going for the pen. And it was so frustrating, man. And I agree, we had some great passages of play, man. We had some great link up. Will Hughes put in a great shift. I think he's been our second best midfielder next to Adam Wharton. I think he's been such a great servant to the club. Pretty sure he's like plus 35 too, like still doing it. Phenomenal player. He's just he bleeds Palace, mate. He's unreal.
I'm gonna Google that. I'm gonna Google
I think not only that, right? Lacroix, I also think is such a key member of our defense. That was probably
30 years old.
Really?
Yeah,
close enough.
Well, I thought he was older than that.
Yeah, me too. It makes your grey hair. Like, do you dye it? Like, fucking hell. Anyway,
I remember Watford days, man. That's where I remember all his.
Unreal.
Him and Tom Cleverley in the middle. Remember that?
Tom Cleverley.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, back in the day. And then he managed the club as well as a player coach. But sorry.
No, it's all good. My go. We'll use. Yeah, I think if it was any other defender, I would be a lot less worried. But Lacroix is just such a key part of our backline, man. He's so important. He's such a leader. He's such a role model. To lose him, you can see it instantly as soon as he went off. I'll also be critical to Glasner. I think he needs to pivot in that moment and to say, especially in the second half, when we can see that we're playing well, we're linking up fantastically well. Let's be a little bit more adventurous. In our minds, we've already lost the game. We're already down 2-1. What the fuck do we have to lose? What do we have to lose? Let's get some more advanced fullbacks. You know, get Munoz and Tyreek Mitchell up the field. Get on another defender to be able to supplement the loss of Lacroix, and let's get the boys in there a little bit more, right? Still, you can still play that 5-back shape that you're looking at, but they were so negative and they were sitting back so much. I see the CBs were stepping out of position to press the wingers, and I was a bit confused. I'm just like, why are we not getting the wing backs to be a lot more aggressive on their touches? Dare I say it, invert into the midfield and create a 4-4-1. Like, we're still playing this 5-4-1, and obviously it was more like a 5-4. We couldn't really have a sole striker pressing like we normally do. It was kind of the role was kind of dipped between Kamada and Gisson, I think it was the striker that we had on. I just think there's so much more that we could do in that game. It was really frustrating to watch. I ended up just stopped watching the game after 75th, 80th minute and went to go play some League of Legends because I was just crashing out. I just couldn't believe it.
Do you think Larson is the man to just get to the end of the season?
Yeah, no two ways about it. I think if we want to be able to win the Conference League, we have to trust him. We have to trust him to be professional enough to put his personal feelings aside and do the job that needs to be done, because I have no doubt that the players want to win the Conference League. I have no doubt that the club wants to win the Conference League. And I think he would love to win the Conference League too. I think it would be a really nice cherry on top on his resume and his time at Crystal Palace to get another trophy under our belt, get us into the Europa League, get us that influx of revenue, keep us into the Premier League. I think it would be the cherry on top for his time here at Palace. And I think he would want that for himself. I think the players want that as well. I think if we did dip into the managerial market, I don't think there's really a manager that we could reasonably get that would do the job for us. You know, everyone says, Xabi Alonso is a free, he's not coming to Palace, mate. Like, let's just be honest. Yeah. He's not coming to fucking manage the Eagles at Selhurst Park. Yeah. I don't see him in that dugout unless he's wearing a Liverpool top and he's away. You know what I'm saying? He's not coming to Palace to manage for us. I love him, but we can all dream.
I think they play. I started watching it for a bit and then I fall asleep. But the first goal was pretty good. Like a great header. But then the 10 men definitely changed it. And do you believe from that you're missing Mark Gay?
I think it's easy to say.
Yeah.
I think he would obviously make a difference.
Oh yeah.
But no,
Well, that
if I'm-
structure and that leadership, in that defense part. Because Anderson play?
Wharton, do you mean?
Anderson,
Anderson.
yeah, Norwegian centre back.
I actually don't know who that is anyway.
Joshua Anderson, he played for Fulham.
Yeah, right.
Price. Yeah. So I don't think you've had him either, and he's
Mm.
been a key. He was a key for Fulham. A little bit on United. Carrick, obviously, again, doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
A bit too obviously late for Man United to really make a massive charge on the title, but looking very, very comfortable in that third spot at the moment. Now joint points with Villa. Is it going to be a fight for the third spot between Villa and United, or is Liverpool going to get into the mix of that?
No, I think that'll be, in my opinion. I think Man United are on the up and up. I think they've done some. I've probably read of this so many times, but I think they've done some great recruitment in the summer. I think they've got some great attacking pieces to be able to manipulate around and play around. And Carrick has done a phenomenal job so far. In phenomenal job in context in comparison to Ruben Amorim, right? I think that's what you also need to put in context, is that Ruben Amorim was doing such a woeful job.
Same players. This is the thing. People are looking at it is Amorim had the same players as what Michael Carrick's got.
And it's fucking
Michael
night
Claret
and day.
has won. Is it six? Hang on, let's have a look at the form. I think they're the best team in the Prem. Yeah, they are. Well, no, they've got a draw. It's between City and Arsenal and United.
Yeah,
so
'cause they
2
draw
wins.
before.
They've got 4 wins and 1 draw. So I think they've won 2, 3, 4. So they've won 4 games, 2 on the bounce, then a draw, then 2 on the bounce. So they're in great form. If Carrick, 9 games left of the season, if Carrick wins 7 and 2 draws, or we'll say 6 wins, 1 loss, 2 and 3 draws, would you make him the manager for next season?
It depends. Who can you get though? I think the managers that
Well, take into
surplus him.
account. Sorry, take into account. They then finish 3rd. They're in the Champions League next season. They're going to attract more players because they're in the biggest tournament in the world, apart from the World Cup. They're going to bring money in because obviously where you finish, you bring money in. They're a big club. They're going to have money anyway. Would you keep him?
Look, I think.
Is it the same situation as Arteta? He's building a process. He's trying to build a team. He's bought Sesko, young striker, scoring goals, on good form. Cunha, Premier League proven player, best player for Wolves by far. He made Wolves. That was the player. Took a little bit of time to get to United. Been injured. Brian Mbeumo, I don't think he's worth the price tag personally.
Still good enough though.
I don't think the price tag is just ridiculous. And then you look at obviously Lenny
Yoru?
Nah, maybe he needs. You've not seen
Delict?
Bargo. What's his name? Delict. Too old. And they brought Lamens, the keeper. They got Nana to come back into the team. They probably might sell him on. Definitely need a left back, unless they're going to use Dogu. Because Luke Shaw's done. I think that's it now. After that injury, I think he'll end up calling it. I think he's had too many injuries, too many problems. Casemiro's off, so they're going to have to replace the CDM. Bruno Fernandes, I think he'll stay. I think he will. I think he likes what Michael Carrick's doing, so I think he'll stay. I don't think he'll go to Saudi unless they pay big money and Man United look for a replacement. I think Man United will probably go for someone like Tuchumi from Real Madrid or Camavinga, someone like that. They'll probably target, and they'll probably look for some right winger, to try and a real prolific right winger. Can Carrick take them to the heights, to the Champions Leagues, to the FA Cups, the title?
I don't see it.
My answer is no.
Yeah, I don't see it, truthfully.
What He'll do a Frank Lampard.
Yeah, and that's what I see as well. I can see him being, and I think there's like that cult hero aspect of his managerial reign at the moment, where he's just, everyone ride the character train, and he's done a fantastic job. There's no two ways about it. But I think that fantastic job has been in context of Amram, as I mentioned before, and I also think just the solutions were there already, and I think he's just put them in place, and it's so simple and it's so straightforward. How this squad develops over the summer, how it develops in terms of age profiles, who they get in, obviously injuries. You touched on that with Luke Shaw. I just think that you need someone who's going to be able to ebb and flow with the squad, and I think that's always been an issue for Manchester United. Is they've had great managers for a period. You think of Jose Mourinho's reign. I think probably Jose has probably been the best manager that Manchester United have had since Alex Ferguson. I think that's not a fair. I think that's a fair statement to make. You think of Ole Glasner, Jesus Christ, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, his tenure at the beginning, but he was phenomenal at the beginning. Like it was really good at the beginning. He's injured, yes, and I think those two were a product of a really good scenario and a situation where they were from their previous managers. And transitioning into the new manager to find those solutions. It's about adapting now. It's about adapting with the squad. It's about the ebbs and flows and finding those solutions. Pep Guardiola does it every season. He's making so many changes, and he's such a how do I say this? Is the word I'm looking for. He sets the tempo for what managers should be. I think Ole Glasner has shown similar levels of flexibility, nowhere near as the level of Pep Guardiola. I'm not going to say he's the next one.
It's the same with Klopp. It's the same when Klopp left. It was going to be a big loss for Liverpool, and Arne Slot did a fantastic job winning the title. But then you've seen, if you're talking about Man United and you're talking about like Liverpool, do Liverpool continue with Slot next season?
It's that struggle to adapt as a manager.
I would say no. Yeah, I would probably say no. So then you've got the likes of who's around that can cause problems. I think. If I was Liverpool, they're probably going to go for Xavi, But you don't, and this is the problem, right, with going from a legend, to a manager. All these managers that have been players have not done the same. Rooney's not done the same. Frank Lampard didn't do the same against Chelsea. He's doing fantastic for Coventry, but it looks like he's going to be pipped. At the moment, they're having a nice little battle. I can't think of the team at the top. It might be West Brom. I think it could be in the Championship. I'm not sure. Wrexham are doing a fantastic job. Wrexham could be into the Premier League, which would be absolutely phenomenal. I'd be looking at some of the likes of Diego Simeone. He's done. This is his last season with Atletico. World-class manager. Man United, big club, as everyone says. Bring him in. Liverpool, bring them in. They're the types of people they need to look for. You don't want to destroy their reputation. Michael Carrick is a fantastic footballer. Is he a legend? Maybe for Man United. I
think he's more of a legend for Spurs than he would be for Man United. That might be a crazy take. But...
Roy Keane's a legend for Man United. Paul Scholes, players like that. Not. I wouldn't say Carrick. Fortunately, he played for West Ham, Tottenham, and obviously Man United.
Good player, though.
Yeah, he is a good player. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's got the tools to take Man United to the next step.
Agreed.
And I think the way Liverpool have gone, they're going to have to really rethink as well, because they're in a situation that their transfer policy shit. It's not worked. Buying big players doesn't work because they need to adapt. They get injured. That they've got to be able to play with the players they've got.
The expectation is also very high for them at the same time. And a lot of eyes are on you. I think also the context of them winning the league the season beforehand and then improving the squad was a big discussion point for them specifically.
Definitely.
I'll say one last thing on Man United. I think there's four names that I've been thinking of when you asked that question before about does Michael Carrick continue on? I think the only scenario in which Michael Carrick continues on is if you can't get one of these four managers. Those four managers are Thomas Tuchel, Ole Glasner, Eddie Howe, and Diego Simeone. I think if you can't get those, say again.
Tuchel's out. He's managing England. He's out.
But who knows? Managers on contracts doesn't mean anything. Like they could, if England crash and burn in the group stage.
Yeah,
which
that's
I don't
true.
think they will
'Cause
do.
That's true because Jose left Fenerbahce and went to Benfica.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And Mikel Arteta's, I'm pretty sure, signed a 5-year contract. I think
Yeah.
from memory.
Yeah.
They've said that if he doesn't win the Premier League, he's gone. Is that
Yeah.
not like the verbal agreement? So managers
Yeah,
are
I
a
get what
lot
you're saying.
more. They're a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for? They're a lot more easily to remove. They're not like players. You don't need to sign like a massive transfer fee. Sure, maybe 10, 15 mil, but managers are much more easy assets to move on than players. So I think Thomas Tuchel, as I said, Eddie Howe, Diego Simeone, or Oli Glasner. If you can't get one of those four, you continue on with Michael Carrick.
I think it's going to be something to watch out for both clubs, Liverpool and Man United, to see what they do. I think it's going to be interesting into the season as well. But at the moment, they're on great form. They've done a phenomenal job. Can they keep it up? They've got Newcastle away. It's a tough game. And obviously Palace going to Spurs. So 2 big games coming up midweek. Right. Moving on to predictions. Right, let's go to overalls as we did from last week's games. So I thought I was going to do a really shit, but I did actually do quite well because I got quite a few correct scores. So I got 6, Nishka got 2, Keeper got 7, really, really good week. Kaushi got 4, Anthony got 3, Connor got 6, and Suts got 6. So the scores are at the moment, I'm leading with 138 points. Keeper with 126. He's pipped Nishka by 2 points. Well, Nishka on 124. Kausi on 85. Anthony on 71. Shaz 42. Suts 40. RJ 24. Connor 33. He's having a very good run. And Huzi on 42. And going into this week's games, Kaus. Midweek games. So as we do love to see it. Fire away. Here we go. First one. Everton and Burnley.
This might sound crazy. Burnley 2-0.
I'm gonna go 2-0 Everton. I don't think Burnley are going to do anything against them. I'll go Bournemouth and Brentford. I'm going to go 2-2. What about you?
Sorry, what was the game?
Bournemouth and Brentford.
Brentford 2-0.
Ooh. Leeds and Sunderland.
I reckon Leeds going to win 3-2.
I'm going to go 1-1. Wolves and Liverpool. I'm going to go 1-3 to Liverpool.
Yeah, I was going to say 2-0 Liverpool, yeah.
Okay. 1-2. Brighton and Arsenal.
Ooh. Arsenal 2-0.
(3-1). I'm going to go Man City and Forest. I think they're going to be too strong for them. I'm going to go 3-1. Man City. What about you?
Man City. What would you say?
I said 3-1.
To City?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, I reckon it's going to be 2-0 City.
2-0. All right. Fulham, West Ham.
I reckon Fulham 4-1. I reckon Fulham are going to be too strong.
4-1. Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 2-1. I think West Ham will give them a go. Villa and Chelsea. I'm going to go 2-1 Villa. I think Villa will bounce back. Villa for you.
1-0 Chelsea with a red card.
Ooh, 1-0. I can't do that, I don't think. I could put the old little... what's happened here? There we go. 1-0 Chelsea. Newcastle, Man United.
Yeah. Man United 3-1.
Ooh, at St. James's Park.
Newcastle in the mud.
I'm going to go 2-2. And last but least, Tottenham and Palace.
I think we should win this. 3-1.
Okay, I've gone.
If we don't win, I'll actually be upset. I'm not gonna lie.
3-1. Okay.
But Spurs need this result if they were to get it.
All right. What game do you want to talk about in midweek game?
I feel like Everton and Burnley is like a very interesting one, honestly, because I kind of feel like Burnley, especially after that week that they've just had, where they should have really come away with some level of points, they're going to feel really hard done by. And I think Everton are really on a bounce back from a great result at St James's Park. I think though that's a very important game in the context of their own seasons, right? I think Burnley will feel that they need to get a result to have any chance of sticking around in the Premier League. I think each game, just as like Arsenal and City, as we discussed before, each game is important from this point on. That bottom six and all those teams, each game is important from this point on. And I think that will be a very, very important fight and important game for them. And if they can get a result there, that'll be massive for their season. Massive.
Yeah, definitely. It's be interesting. I think the game of the week is probably Aston Villa and Chelsea. I think it's going to be a big game.
Yep.
Obviously, fourth versus sixth. Obviously, Chelsea need to try and get back into that top 5 for Champions League or Europa, and Villa will want to bounce back as well. So that's going to be a big game. I think both teams are going to be going at it. How do you feel about both teams playing each other? Both teams playing at the same time between Arsenal and Man City. Do you think the fans are going to be looking at the clocks? Looking at the watches?
Of course they are. They always do that, and they're always going to have a bit of a suss out as to what the results are going to be. I do think that the pressure will be on City more than anyone, because at the end of the day, they are the ones that are 5 points behind. They need to make the margin up. And it is on Arsenal as to whether or not that margin will be gained or lost. I think both teams are under similar pressure, different types.
Mm-hmm.
I think Arsenal are under the pressure of this is the time that they usually bottle. They can't show that old adage and the way that they've played previously in previous seasons. They need to be more cleaner. They need to be more convincing with the ball when playing in the games. And I think you mentioned it before, not to fall into that last 10, 15, 20-minute gameplay where you kind of just let your opposition play the game, because that's costed you results this season and obviously in previous seasons. I think City's pressure is we need to have a go at every single team and get points. We need to obtain points. We have to get goals. We have to attack the opposition. And look, Guardiola has done it in previous seasons, and I think he's been very effective in that style of football and to be very attacking, very positive. But the consistency is what's going to decide the title this season.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is going to be very interesting. I think both teams are on great form. Obviously, City are on better form. They've only drawn 1 game. Arsenal have drawn 2 games. I think the main thing is as well, I think it's game management. I think Arsenal need to see games out a lot more cleaner and not worry in that last 10 minutes, because that's when the stadium, starts to get that atmosphere, and that's when people start to worry. So, but I think I'll still say it again. I still think there's twists. And I think for me, I think it's on City with the twists, because they've got some big, hard games and some big teams that are, if you're looking at obviously the fixtures between the two, you've got Man City are playing relegated, or just under relegated, and then they're playing P7, they're playing P5, they're playing P8. They're playing all those top teams in the top 10, and we know what Brentford can do. We know what Chelsea can do on their day, and Man City get 1 draw. They're 6 points behind then if Arsenal capitalise and get another win. That's the problem. And it's fine margins, which is going to be very interesting going into these midweek games anyway. And on that note, we're going to go through the table very, very quickly. Arsenal leading the way at 64 points. Obviously, Man City playing first. Obviously, they had all the pressure on them. They managed to get the job done. Not comfortable, we've got to say, though. It was not a comfortable game against Leeds United. They really did have to fight, and they did have to rely on their new signing, Semio, to take them to the 3 points. Arsenal obviously had to wait till the last game of the week against their London rivals Chelsea. Managed to get the job done and taking the top spot again, continuing that 5-point lead. And people are still talking about when these two guys meet, is going to be the title decider. Third in spot with 51 points. Obviously, Arsenal was 64, Man City 59, Man United now 51, joint with Villa, but do have a goal advantage over them. They have jumped them due to a very good result. Not probably the cleanest result against Crystal Palace, but they got the job done, and Carrick does go again. Villa, really disappointing, losing to relegated, we probably will say relegated Wolves, a 2-0 loss, which is probably the surprise of the week, along with the Burnley and Brentford game as well. Liverpool, phenomenal result against Forest. You could probably call them set piece FC take two, as they did score most of their goals from set pieces, but they got the job done. Are Liverpool on a run of form? We'll have to wait and see. 3 on the bounce. They have got 48 points. Following very closely behind them is Chelsea, who did lose against Arsenal in that London derby, and they're on 45. So they will definitely want to bounce back when both teams play Chelsea and Villa, which is going to be a big game. And obviously Liverpool playing relegated Wolves. Then we've got Brentford, 43, close shave there between them and Burnley. They probably will pray to the gods because that looked like that they were going to lose that game. They're only 2 points behind Chelsea. So Chelsea could be looking over their shoulder and in front of them as well, because Brentford could take that P6 away from Chelsea if they drop points against Villa and Brentford win. Then we've got Everton in P8, a very good result against Newcastle at home as well, so a strong performance from them. They're on 40 points, same as Fulham winning their London derby against Tottenham. Very, very convincing. Bournemouth not doing the best, getting another draw, so they're on 39 points, 1 point behind Fulham. Brighton, 37 points, they getting the result against Nottingham Forest, when they actually went 1-0 up and then pulled it to a draw and then pulled another goal back. They've got a very tough game against the league leaders Arsenal, so they'll want to push up the table and try and catch Bournemouth, which are only 2 points behind. Joint on 37 points with them is Sunderland, but with the goal difference, they're in P12. Another draw for them. Newcastle will definitely want to bounce back after 2 losses in a row. 36 points, only 1 point behind them is Palace. They'll want to bounce back. Form pretty good though. Drawn 1-1, lost 1-1, and lost. So form not so bad. Leeds United, they'll want to bounce back, obviously after 1 loss and 2 draws against Man City on 31 points. 2 points behind them is Tottenham with 4 losses in a row. They are in strife, and they need to look behind them because Forest have got 2 losses as well on the bounce with 27 points. West Ham with 25, only 2 points behind Forest. They've got 1 loss and 2 draws. They'll want to bounce back. And Burnley on 19 points, looking likely to be relegated along with Wolves on 19. And Wolves, could they get into the 20s? We'll still have to wait and see. Still got time, but they have got to win. So they have now won 2 games all season, but they have lost 20 games and drawn 7. They are your results for the table. Then we go to the goals. Erling Haaland is top goal scorer at the moment with 22. Igor Thiago now on 18. Antoine Samio, what a season he's having for Bournemouth and Man City on 14. Hugo as well on 11. And João Pedro on 11. Bruno Fernandes, another assist, now pushes up to 13. Erling Haaland didn't play against Leeds United on 7. Ryan Cherky joint with 7. Harry Wilson on 6. Same with Jack Grealish, who is out for the remainder of the season. And Mohamed Salah on 6 as well. 10 yellow cards for Yerson Mosquera from Wolves. And not too good there. And Chelsea again adding another player to the red card list. But it is Christian Romero that leads the table. Kaus, as always, mate, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have a good result this week for your team and you enjoy the midweek games. Just to let you know as well, we'll touch base on this because this was massive. The Champions League draw was announced the other day, and there is some big teams to play. So this is what we're looking at to happen on the round of the 16th, which is in March sometime. PSG playing Chelsea, Real Madrid playing Man City, Newcastle versus Barcelona. Bodo Glimt, they are still in it. You cannot believe it, but they are still in it, and they are going through into the round 16. They are playing Sporting Lisbon, Galatasaray versus Liverpool. That will be a fantastic game. Will we see Istanbul all over again? Atlanta playing Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid versus Spurs, and Leverkusen versus the favourites, who are Arsenal in the Champions League. Any any topics? Anything to talk about that? Would you think about the Champions League draw?
No, I think there was a very interesting side of the bracket. I think the side that the Arsenal are on. I think that they should have a very straightforward road to the semis. I think in that period of time, I think they'll face some really tough opposition. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to be lights out. It's going to be unreal. It's going to be this season has been very, very close and very, very entertaining to watch, especially if you an enjoyer of the Premier League specifically.
Yeah.
So interested to see how these English clubs will go in the Champions League, and hopefully one of them will take it away.
Definitely. We won't be doing a watch along because these games are early in the morning, but we will on the 15th of March. I think there may be a week or 2 weeks break. So on Friday, we'll probably do the recap of the midweek games. And then we've got, about a week off before we come back on match day number 30, where Burnley is the first game, along with Sunderland, Brighton, Chelsea, and Newcastle is the afternoon. It's actually Arsenal that play before Man City in the next one. It's Arsenal and Everton at 6:30, and then West Ham at Man City at 9 a.m. in the morning. So pressure is going to be on City. So it's going to switch, which is going to be very exciting. Cows, thank you very much for jumping in. Thank you very much for all the comments. Culprit Racing, just a few comments on him. I know who that is. It's Connor. He said, City win, title relegated. Okay, we'll see.
Get in the potty.
David still, he's gone to sleep. They were nowhere near us. Second half, first half, yes, but second half, no one could touch that team, and it was clear Dogs go without that Konya scores. Well, yeah, but they had a penalty, and shouldn't have been a penalty. But end of the day,
it is what it is.
What ifs. It's always what ifs. Thank you very much for joining us on episode number 22 of Off the Post. Thank you very much, Cass. As always, take care. Have a great week. Enjoy the football and this title race.